operation of a storage facility in Belfast, in Mpumalanga. And the second item that is for our open session, it's an application by Porta Land Pty Limited's application for a license to operate 3 petroleum storage facilities in Middelburg and Belfast, and as well as 2 petroleum storage facilities that are situated in Middelburg and 1 that is situated in Belfast. And all 3 are in the Mpumalanga province. Those are the 2 items that we have for our agenda for the open session. On that note, may I request that the petroleum team led by Ms. Mtwa introduce the first item, which is item 5 on the Drakensberg oils application. Ms. Mtwa.
Good morning, members. Good morning, colleagues. On the 2 item 5 and 6, Ms. Ngobeni will assist with the introduction. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mtwa. Good morning, members, management, and colleagues. The purpose of this submission is to request the Regulator Executive Committee to consider and approve the revocation of a license issued to Drakensberg Oil for the operation of a petroleum storage facility in Belfast following the sale of the facility to Porta Plant, and the decision and reasons for decision document attached here to as Annex 1. Just to give a brief background on how this application was lodged, we conducted a site inspection at the Drakensberg Oil facility in September 2022, where we discovered that the licensee sold the facility to Puma Energy in 2017, which then sold it to Porta Plant in the same year. At the time of inspection, the facility was operated by the new owner, being Porta Plant. Upon learning about these developments, Porta Plant was directed to apply for its own license and Drakensberg Oil to lodge a revocation application for this facility. Drakensberg Oil then applied for the revocation of its license in terms of Section 24(1)(c) of the Act, which states that the authority may revoke a license on the application of a licensee if another person is willing and able to assume the rights and obligations of the licensee concerned. Revoking a license in terms of Section 24(1)(c) requires the licensee to provide proof of transfer of ownership and undertaking by Porta Plant stating that it is willing and able to assume the rights and obligation of the licensee, and a license application by Porta Plant as the new owner of the facility. All these requirements were submitted as part of the Drakensberg Oil's revocation application, and Porta Plant has also submitted its license application. With that said, we recommend the approval of this revocation application as per paragraph 24, which is on page 7 of the submission. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Members, the submission is before you. Are there any issues or comments or points of enhancements that you may have for the team? If you do, please indicate by show of hand. Thank you.
Chairperson, Ms. Maseti's hand is
Thank
up.
you, Ms. Yes, Ms. Maseti, you may come in, ma'am.
Chairperson, just 2 things from me. One is the compliance with the regulations dealing with rehabilitation allowance or decommissioning allowance, whether that has been complied with, as it is something that we always take into consideration as part of the legal requirements, especially when we are dealing with revocations and the transfer of the assets to a new owner, to the extent that this decommissioning allowance or rehabilitation of land has been something that we are taking into consideration during the tariffs for these facilities. That's number 1, Chairperson, just that legal requirement. How did we deal with it? The second one, Chair, I just want to understand in terms of whether we observed any changes in the value of these assets when they are now taken over by the new owner, and to the extent that the value will now be sort of, if it's higher, that obviously will sort of have an impact for third-party access and also for those that are paying for the facilities. Those are the two issues that I would like to get clarity on. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Masetti. Thanks very much. I think from my side, it's just as well an issue of clarity, or rather a clarity in relation to sequencing of the applications. I think on the 4th of October at the PPS, we got an application that was said was just for discussion, that related to Porta. And that application, it was said that it will be considered on a round-robin basis. And if you look at paragraph 4 of this submission of Drakensberg, it is said that this revocation will be considered once that. Sorry, I beg your pardon. It says the revocation of this particular application that Drakensberg Oil is making will be considered, or rather will precede the tariff application that is going to be considered on a round-robin basis. But if you look at that paragraph as well, it's not really fully giving the details that are associated with that particular tariff application. So I just thought that maybe the team will have to really enhance or give us an explanation in relation to that particular paragraph, and as well as the submission that was done on the 4th. If that can be clarified, I'll appreciate it. Over to you, Tim. I do not see any other hand. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Maybe before Mr. Untit come in, I see his hand is up. Just to indicate that Drakensberg is a revocation, and then item 6 would be a reapplication, and that's where the tariff application was discussed in the PPS. Based on the delegation metrics, the two are for REC, and then the tariff application is for PPS. So because of how the meetings are scheduled, it was really a challenge to try and ensure that we have this first without delaying the tariff application. Hence, we've tried to address it the way we have. But we always try that these revocation and the reapplication go first before we then consider the tariff. But I think here we really struggle to try and align. In the future, we'll try and make sure that it is proper sequence so that there is no confusion. And I also think maybe the question by Ms. Masetti on the rehabilitation would be discussed in the tariff application. Hence, I would ask maybe Ms. Bogo to also come in just to clarify that matter. Martin, you can come in, and then Ms. Bogo. Thank you.
Morning, Chair.
Mr. Mitra, if I may have to come in, I think my question really that I raised in terms of the sequencing that we need to be clear about is that these documents do get discovered in legal processes, and therefore then we need to be clear. And hence I was saying, and that paragraph 4, it's really not for a person who's not part of our processes to be able to understand it. But I think that is just a point for enhancement. We will move on to Mr. Untit for his input. You may come in, Martin.
Thank you, CEO, and good morning also members and management colleagues. We will definitely then enhance the document, but Ms. Mitra has explained it as I would have explained it. In terms of of maybe just one different sentence. The problem came then in terms of the timing of meeting the cut-off date. But yeah, we will enhance the submission that we apologize for that. In terms of the question about the Ms. Masetti's second question about the changing value of the assets, if I can go backwards, and maybe Ms. Boko will then maybe have to add on that if she with her insights. So the assets in terms of what has been on the ground did not change. However, not all of the tanks were operational initially. But in terms of that, the amounts are then also have to be guided in terms of when the Porta application, the next item is considered, and then the tariff that you referred to in terms of that decision. In terms of Ms. Masetti's first question, we did ask the applicant the question in terms of the clarification for analysis. So in terms of that, the own due diligence was done as part of the transaction between the parties. It has gone through the deeds office, and that process will finalize. But since there was no changes in terms of actual construction activities or the scope of the facility, it didn't trigger any further environmental matters. So as far as we could assess in our assessment, there's no compliance issues in terms of rehabilitation taken over. If your question was in terms of whether money was collected in terms of the tariff by the Drakensberg, I also need perhaps some assistance from the tariff colleagues on that specific aspect. Thank you, Chair and members.
Yes, Ms. Boko.
Thank you, Chairperson. I just want to come in on the land rehabilitation provision question by Ms. Masetti. BP Drakensberg did not have any funds recouped via tariffs for the rehabilitation provision, in which case we would have monitored that the funds are then transferred to the new owner. But then in this case, there were no funds. So as also touched on by Mr. Unted, we have, as part of the pre-licensing engagements, alerted the new party that there is this liability. And we are continuing to engage the party to ensure that they do have an approved instrument by NESA. So otherwise, there was no transfer of funds from the previous owner, BP Drakensberg, to Porter, because there were no funds actually recouped from the tariffs in that case. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Ms. Masetti. I don't know if you have a follow-up. If not, oh yes, Ms. Masetti may come in.
It's a mistake, Chairperson. I wanted to do a thumbs up.
Okay, all right, thanks. I therefore then take it that in terms of the process issue, once this submission is approved, then we will then get the round robin that was approved on the 4th of October, just to refine our processes, Ms. Mtwa. Is that correct? And I think in that round robin, then let's also make reference to this particular approval. I do not see any other hand from the members, and in the absence of that, may I request that I take members to the recommendations, and the recommendations are on the Green Stem P7 under paragraph 24. And the recommendation are that the REC considers and approves the revocation of a license issued to Drakensberg Oil Pty Ltd for the operation of a petroleum storage located in Belfast in Mpumalanga under that license of 2014 And this is following the sale of the facility to Porta Plant Pty Ltd, and also to approve or consider and approve the decision and reasons for decision document attached here to as Annexure 1. By show of hand, Ms. Masita, take it that your hand is for voting. Mr. Mkhize, I do support the recommendations as well. Thank you. Ms. Mthwa, the recommendations under item 5 have been approved. We would then move on to item 6 on the Porta Plant application license to operate the 3 storage facilities that have been mentioned earlier. Over to you, Ms. Mthwa.
Thanks, Chair. As indicated, Ms. Ngobeni will also assist with the introduction of this submission. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Porta Plant applied for licenses to operate 3 petroleum storage facilities located in Belfast and 2 in Middelburg. As stated in the previous presentation, it was discovered during a site visit that the Belfast facility is now owned by Porta Plant. During the site visit, Porta Plant indicated that it owns 2 more storage facilities located in Middelburg. We then visited the 2 sites and confirmed that the facilities in Middelburg also require licensing. Porta submitted satisfactory documentary proof in a form of a deed of transfer signed by Puma Energy and itself to prove that it is the owner of the facility in Belfast, which is a requirement in terms of Section 16(1) of the Act. Since Porta Plant has taken over the Belfast facility, no impact is foreseen to the storage market in Belfast and surrounding areas. In addition, Table 4, which is on page 20 of 76, shows that NERSA has licensed only 1 storage facility in Middelburg to date, owned by Indian Petroleum. Once Porta's application is approved for the 2 facilities, the statistics for the independent operators in Middelburg will now increase slightly. The 2 Middelburg storage facility added to the list for the Mpumalanga province will increase the license capacity by 5,633 cubic meters, which will result in a total license capacity of 97,711 cubic meters in Mpumalanga province. With that said, Chair, we recommend the approval of the license application as per paragraph 26 of the submission, which is on page 9 of 76. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Ngobeni. Members, the submission is before you, and over and above the presentation made by Ms. Ngobeni, are there any questions, issues of clarity, or points of enhancements that you may have for the team? If you do, please indicate by a show of hand. I'll recognize you. Don't see any hand, members, and from my side as well, I do not have any issues for clarity. And on that note, then I would recommend that we go to page 9, the green stamp page 9, paragraph 26, where the recommendations are, which is for the REC to consider and approve the application by Porta Pty Limited for licenses to operate the 3 petroleum storage facilities located in Mpumalanga, which are in Middelburg, Depot 1, and in Middelburg, Depot 2, and as well as in Belfast. And the capacities of the 3 facilities are stated in the submission. The first one in Middelburg, Depot 1, being 1,493 cubic meters, and Depot 2 in Middelburg as well, which is 4,167 cubic meters. And lastly, the one in Belfast, which has a capacity of 1,525 cubic meters. And we are also requested to consider and approve the decision and reasons for decision document attached here to as Annexure 1, and also that the license conditions for the 3 respective facilities are attached as Annexure 2. On that note, members, can I get an indication that we approve the recommendation as stated in paragraph 26? Thank you, Ms. Maseti. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize, and I also support. And on that note, I think we have come to the end of the open session of our meeting. Let me thank everyone on the platform, management, and the presenters, members of the committee, and as well as the stakeholders that have joined us on this platform. On that note, we have come to the end of our open session of the meeting. And may I request Ntate Mateja to indicate to me once we have stopped the